others.
My name is Westsrn, Professor of English Literature. I'm Egyptian, currently working in Saudi Arabia. My fields of interest are African American poetry, especially translation studies, cultural studies, and literature-related studies to religion. If you go to the Amazon, you'll find many books by me, especially on literature. The latest was titled From Hughes to Parker, African American Poets, Langston Hughes and me, if you're familiar with them. Today I'm talking about this topic titled See Me As I Really Am, Study of the Westerners, Arabs, Mutual Representation and Misrepresentation. These are my main points. Introduction and the methods. I did quantitative and qualitative research. Where to start? So I fed the three main search engines, Google, Yahoo, and Bing, with 5 search phrases under 4 main sections I chose. It's better to see. No. Yeah, these are the sections: media, religion, literature, and translation. And these phrases are fed under each section, as you see here. Under media, I say media studies on misrepresentation, media translation studies on cultural dialogue, the impact of media, and each section is used with the same phrases at the same time, just to get perfect and accurate results. Then I go back with you again. After feeding these 3 search engines, I got millions and millions of entries talking about the same phrases that talk about violence and nonviolence, misrepresentation and representation of Arabs and the West. Why I did this search? Just to verify the conclusion that is, despite having all these entries, violent acts have been carried out here and there. I have 2 examples: the Christchurch massacre in New Zealand and the Sri Lanka bombings. Okay, one was done by a Christian and the other one was done by Muslims. Okay, and I analyzed the 2 examples according to a 2-step plan, as you see now. This is the method. I told you that I used quantitative and qualitative method in my search. And here the phrases began and the results. The below searches and statistics show that the conflict of misrepresentation is misrepresented. And that's the problem, really. The numbers of publications have not solved the problem. Sometimes, publications urge people to do the wrongdoings, to carry out, this kind of terrorist acts. And as we see here, terrorist acts haven't stopped, and a striking example is what happened in New Zealand and in Sri Lanka. I'd like you to have a look. Yeah, when I search Google on the media phrases or talking about media and non-violence, I have these numbers. You can see millions and millions of entries under media. Then on Yahoo and on Bing. So when I compared the results, I found out that Google has the most, the great number of entries under it. Why I did so? What I want to prove is that it is now, okay, let's say the moral responsibility of Google first, just to have a step. Okay, we do not want these engines just to give us entries about violence and nonviolence, and that's it. Again, about religion, you will find the same. The great number of entries are in Google, and the lowest, will be found on Bing. Again, in literature, and we reach the same conclusion. And translation studies, you'll find the same conclusion. It's Google, okay? Now we condemn Google, okay? This is a collective chart the main sections together, media, translation, literature, and religion, with the three engines. So it is evident now that, if we want to have a serious step to just do something to prevent or stop this violent acts, we have to start with Google. And I contacted them, and of course they didn't respond. Yeah, so I expected that they wouldn't respond, and this has, for me, an indication. Is it done on purpose? Maybe. As we see, the 5 sections combined show the highest number of searches results on Google, while the lowest number is on Bing. So after doing such kind of analysis and comparison of numbers, appeared on each search engine, this proved for me that these innumerable search results fail to stop misrepresentation or stereotyping and terrorist attacks. Moreover, many publications might urge people to do so, to go and do these kind of violent attacks. What I suggest is that we should have some kind of a pop-up. And this pop-up should appear every time you search about violence and non-violence. This pop-up should contain 2 main points. Tolerance verses from Christianity, from the Bible, and tolerance verses from the Holy Quran. So if you are a Christian, you read about the true image of Islam. So you know that those Muslims have some kind of misconceptions in their heads. Those who carry out such kind of violent acts. If you are a Muslim and you read about the Christian tolerance, you'll be convinced that what some kind of extremist Christians do of violent acts it's not Christianity. It's not the true Christianity. So this is the first step. Examples of tolerance. Of course, here I quoted the Sermon on the Mount. As an example of tolerance, especially here, whoever smites thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. If you take this and try just to apply this to terrorist acts, to the massacre that happened in New Zealand, you'll find that this massacre is against Christianity. Though the guy said that he did it for Christianity. He did this kind of act for Christianity, but we should analyze for ourselves and to see for ourselves. It's not the true image of Christianity. If we read the Sermon on the Mount, we find that that's not true. What happened is against Christianity, against humanity in the first place. Again, this is an example that Jesus Christ was very tolerant with non-believers. He told his companions who asked him to destroy those non-believers, ye know not what manner of spirit ye are of. For the Son of Man is not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. That's the message. We are not to destroy each other's life, but to save each other's life. From Holy Quran, we have in chapter 2, which is entitled The Cow, verse 256, there is no compulsion in religion. You as Muslim, you shouldn't force people to be Muslims like you. There is no compulsion. If you believe in Islam, you are a Muslim, and if you believe in Islam, you should believe in this verse, that it's not your duty to tell, this person to be a Christian or to be a Muslim. It's his own free will. Again, in chapter 16, titled The Bees, verse 125, Allah says to Muhammad, invite mankind, O Muhammad, the way of your Lord, with wisdom. Invite them with wisdom, not fight against them. Just invite them with the divine revelation, and the Holy Quran, and fair preaching, and argue with them in a way that is better. You argue, but in a better way. Don't fight. Use the dialogue, but to invite them. You don't have to just force them to be Muslims or so. Again, we have in chapter 21, titled The Prophets, verse 107, and we have sent you, O Muhammad, not as a mercy for Alamin. And Alamin here means mankind, jinn, and all that exists on earth. So you are a mercy. And if I, as a Muslim, believe that Muhammad is a mercy, I should be merciful in the first place. I should just argue with people in the best manner possible. In chapter 28, titled Stories, verse 56, Allah makes it clear that it is He who guides people. Verily you, O Muhammad, guide not whom you like, but Allah guides whom He wills. It's, God's task to guide people. It's not your task. Okay, you just invite people. You just, have some kind of call. A call for contributions in a paper or in a book or whatever. But don't force people. From Prophet Muhammad's hadiths, the sayings he said to his own companions, we can get some kind of clear message to those who claim that they are Muslims. During some of the ghazawat of the Prophet Muhammad, a woman was found killed. Allah's messenger disapproved of the killing of women and children. He didn't like that. Even if you are at war with some people, don't kill children, don't kill women, okay? Don't cut trees, don't destroy the environment. Now, the Sri Lanka bombings, targeted what? Targeted peaceful people, at churches, at hotels. So this is against the message of Prophet Muhammad. Another hadith, the Prophet said, whoever killed a person having a treaty with the Muslims shall not smell the smell of paradise, though its smell is perceived from a distance of 40 years. It means that if you killed someone who is peaceful, it means that you will never enter paradise, you never go to heaven, you go to hell. Again, another hadith, he says, beware if anyone wrongs a contracting man. A contracting man, we mean here by contracting man, the kitabi in Arabic. Those who are Christians or, Jewish people. If you wrong them or diminishes his right or forces him to work beyond his capacity or takes from him anything without his consent, I shall plead for him on the day of judgment. He will defend him on the day of judgment. Here, of course, principles of tolerance in all religions do not at any rate apply to the latest terrorist acts such as the Christchurch massacre or the Sri Lanka Easter bombings. Of course, all of us heard about those two accidents, I think. Here, when we come to these two examples, I used a two-step plan in analyzing them. First, demonstrating the results, current mutual misconceptions based on bigotry, and comparing the events to teachings of tolerance, as you have already seen, in both religions. Of course, we know that this guy, Tarrant, carried out his terrorist act on Jummah prayer. Why in Jummah prayer? Because Muslims used to congregate in the churches to pray al-Jummah. He did it, okay? He chose the right time to have a lot of Muslims at mosques, and he killed a lot, as you see here, and injured 50 people. The New Zealand Prime Minister, and this is for the first time to describe an act of violence, she said that this is an extraordinary and unprecedented act of violence. New Zealanders living around the mosque told reporters that they lived in peace with Muslims. So what's the problem? What's the problem with this Australian man? We'll see. Then when we go to Sri Lanka, we find that the alleged Muslim fighters killed about 359 and injured about 500. And the leader of the group, the militant group, is called Muhammad Zahran or Zahrani Hashimi, and they have connections with ISIS. Okay, and ISIS claimed that they are responsible for the accident after that. And of course, when you go and review this kind of act, you will ask yourself, so Is there no precaution there? The government, what did it do? What did the government do? Here, the Prime Minister said that they had pre-warnings that something like that would happen. But he and the President had some kind of issues. And because of these issues, okay, the information wasn't received at the right time. Misconceptions. Muslims are stereotyped as terrorist attackers. Let's agree on this. If you go to 1995 Oklahoma bombings, when it happened, okay, CNN announced that it was a Muslim. And after investigations, we found out that it was an American who did so. So this is a problem. We shouldn't have preconceived ideas. We shouldn't stereotype people. Just wait and see. Let investigations, go in its right course, and then we'll find who did it. Another thing, it was reported that, I quote, the Pentagon paid more than $500,000 for the production and dissemination of fake Al-Qaeda videos that portrayed the insurgent group in a negative light. Again, more than 200,000 articles reveal that ISIS-inspired attackers are 3 times more likely to be described as terrorists than white supremacists and far-right killers. All these misconceptions and preconceived ideas and stereotyping. Yeah, okay. 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit.
Won't stop, terrorist attacks. Again, the claim behind Sri Lanka attacks showed how misconceptions of bigotry can lead people to commit crimes in the name of Allah. Okay, and this is against Islam. If you believe in Islam, you should be peaceful. This is what the Australian guy believed in, that he committed this on a religious basis. And this is a quotation saying that the weaponry is scrolled with references to ancient battles and more recent attacks against Muslims. So he tried to avenge Christian people who were killed at the hands of Muslims. And he tried to, he said that it's a kind of crusade, which is again against Christianity. The attack on Sri Lanka, they targeted, as I told you, they targeted hotels and foreign tourists, and this is against the teachings of Islam. The conclusion. As you see, the 3 engines, innumerable such results can now stop the terrorist attacks and may provoke bigots to carry more crimes. So it's a failure. It's a failure. Therefore, the paper suggests that all such engines should use a pop-up of verses of tolerance from the Holy Quran and the Bible in order to remind the reader or the researcher of the true image of each religion. Recommendations. There should be an international censorship body that review all publications each year, and an annual report should be available for all people everywhere. Okay? The suggested must-read pop-up should appear in each engine when searched on the topic of violence or non-violence, representation or misrepresentation, and cultural dialogue. In this way, we can stop, or we can, just listen the terrorist acts. Further study. The 4 sections analyzed can come under a themed book entitled See Me As I Really Am. And here, call for contribution. If you are interested, please respond. If you are interested in this, please respond. Okay? This is a call for contribution in a book, okay, that I plan to publish with Cambridge scholars, okay, publishing scholars. So if you have any interest to be a co-editor, to be an author, please respond. Please the references, and before saying thank you, no one religion can do it alone. No one can do it alone. No one can stop violent acts alone. But together, we can. Thank you very much.